Hello, hello. This is Red Light on Fifth. My name is Maximiliano.
And I'm Alex C. Mills.
We're here with TJ Masters with Guma.
Possession in itself a crime leaves the confident confined. Better to know than to not. Better to right than to wrong. But for me, I think the opposite agrees. I was once beholden to a different point of view, and I did what I did, and I've hid what I could. But you know, some things you don't outgrow. Possession till the bridges burn, as if we could return. Land, sea and sky, you're up in July. Is it so bad to speak about things that we've had? Ooh. I was once remanded by different sense of time. But now I am free. Ooh, just to be me. And you know, I think I'll never stop. Poor Wanda the hen, not the first in line, but far from the end. Doesn't stand out as much as she blends in. Wanda the hen. She got filtered water and organic feed, the basic level on the hierarchy of needs. Now we'll see if she'll borrow and beg or lay us an egg. But who took the wire and stuck it to the wall? And who put Wanda in the middle of it all? That's the part that gets stuck in her craw. What is it all mean? Poor Wanda. Winter Arthur is a kinder version of himself, and I think it suits him well. There's no explanation as to why, when the temperature is high, he just gets meaner. And who could ever be like that? Out with reason, only react. It's no wonder I keep feeding that cat. Arthur speaks to me. Wanda and Arthur, two sides of a coin. One seeks to buy, one to purloin. Arthur and Wanda, neither knowing shame. You pity the players, don't hate the game. In 2020, Wanda stood up for herself, gained a couple pounds and made the rounds in 10 seconds flat. First out the door in the morning. Ooh, yes she is. Yes. Later that year, Arthur kept us from tears. He knows habits have a way of weeding in. First at my feet in the morning.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Again, my name is Maximiliano. This is Alex C. Mills next to me. And we got TJ Masters with the one and only Guma. And holy moly, man, that was freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, first of all, and playing that super tight set. I feel like as we've been getting more and more bands in here, one of the problems we're having is that everyone's super loud, and you guys did an amazing job to play to the room. So that was really, really exciting.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit as y'all were breaking down. That's a skill that you have to learn as a musician, not just to play quietly. It's more difficult to play quiet than it is to play loud, but to play quietly with other people. And I was telling Alex, I feel like the first time you go into a recording studio, you're surprised at how softly everyone is playing because you're trying to control all of the sound in a room, and it's just a different skill to have to learn for sure.
It's almost like intuition. Walking into.
But once you have that skill, you get to impress people like yourselves by bringing a six-piece
We're
band into a
impressed.
tiny room and being like, yeah, we'll play.
I told the guys, like,
kinda
yeah,
quiet.
they're 6-piece, and everyone was kind of nervous.
No, but the professionalism really shone through.
Yeah.
Like you guys really brought it in a way that was so controlled. Like it was a lovely experience.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, well, let's get into it, man. I met you for the first time today, which is sort of new to Red Light, because we've been bringing on a couple friends that a bunch of friends that we met all last year. But yeah, I want to know about your musical journey, how you started, because I guess where you're grabbing your inspirations is crazy right now. But I want to know where you started, and what age. Let's go through that.
Sure. I grew up in not a particularly musical family, but my parents insisted that we take piano lessons. I want to say that all of my siblings, I have 2 other siblings, I want to say we all took piano lessons.
Yeah.
And some of us, I think I graduated to the guitar when I was maybe 12 or 13 years old, done with the piano. And then
For some reason, it's not cool when your parents are.
I
putting you
know,
in
right?
class,
And then you regret it.
yeah, I'm like, I should have stayed in
Wish I could play
class.
that piano.
Yeah.
But that's why I have Sam, because he can play the piano really well.
He was really good too. So then so you were playing piano and you decided to get into electric guitar.
I think
or
guitar
acoustic?
would have been cooler. Yeah. So I started playing guitar, and I was doing music. I was doing band in middle school and high school, playing the trumpet, which never really took off with me. I didn't enjoy it.
Was that when
much.
ska was pretty big?
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
Like,
yeah. I guess
all
you
my
would,
friends that did trumpet was because of ska.
I guess you would call that third wave ska or whatever came up in the late 90s. That was still clinging in the early aughts.
Real Big Fish. There was a bunch of good bands.
But yeah, once I picked up the guitar, it was kind of natural to me. Like, this is the instrument that I want to use to write music, and I knew from a pretty early age that I wanted to write songs. I feel like I was writing songs a lot of the time before I had even learned some of the basic things, do's and don'ts of songwriting and of musicianship in general. And kind of
who were you listening to at the time?
this would have been when I was in high school, and I got turned on to David Bowie and Lou Reed, and so that's the kind of, and T-Rex. That's the kind of like glam side of things.
Who was getting you into that?
A girlfriend of mine.
Really?
The ladies always know. They always know.
Because it was so hard. Because at that age, the only way to hear older bands was either you had, a friend, or I guess a girlfriend, or your parents.
Yeah, there was no streaming, so it was
yeah.
CDs, or there were some early online options for listening to
It was
music.
the worst, because we'd go into Hot Topic and we'd find like cool bands, or cool shirts like of The Who or something, and I'd wear them, and the first thing on Monday morning in school was like, name 3 songs, poser. It's like, shoot, I don't know. Yeah, so that's cool, man. That's cool that you got introduced to the good stuff early on, and then you started writing, and then when did you form the first band?
I was playing in a kind of primordial band by the time I was finishing high school, and then I went to college in Gainesville, Florida, and that was when I had my first like consistent group of.
Was that for music?
No, I have a degree in psychology.
Oh, maybe we should switch seats, dude.
You want me to ask the question?
Please.
How's your relationship with your mother?
Oh, I love her. She's great. That's cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So then you were playing shows in Florida?
Playing shows in Florida. Went from Florida to New York for a number of years. Played in a group in New York that got a good amount of attention, both regionally and nationally. And then came to Austin in 2016, and that's when I started doing Guma.
Okay, so it's been some time.
Yeah.
Because you guys released an album last
I guess it's been
year?
about 7 years of Guma, and there was a record that came out in February of last year, and one that is hopefully going to be out by the end of this year.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Heck yeah.
I have 2 in the bank right now, which I wouldn't bring that up except for the fact that I'm so proud to have 2 unreleased records that are just like waiting to come out. That usually works the other way. Usually you put something out and you've worked so hard on it and it's finally done, and then people go, cool, man, so what's the next thing?
Damn, dude, that was 3-4 years of my life. So how do you feel about releasing? Because I've been writing and starting to release music probably for like 2 years now. And I've been kind of battling, like, should I just do an album and release it all together, or release it all as singles? Like, in today's day, What is your take on that?
Well, there's a couple different answers for this question. I could talk about how do I feel about releasing music under the specter of, say, Spotify or iTunes or whatever. But just more holistic, to answer your question more holistically, you got to get it out. I know people that have been working on their debut record for 10 or 15 years, or you meet people that are like, I'm still working on it, or, we had this thing going and we scrapped it and we started over again. And I understand deeply, the desire to be precious about things, and it's an expression of yourself and you want it to be perfect. But at some point along the way, you got to cut bait on what you're working on so that you can evolve and start working on new things. Yeah. And I think people do get into these kind of spirals of not evolving as artists because they're scared to release something, or they don't feel like it represents them in the way that they want to be. Well, I've got news for you. It's never going to sound like the way you think it should sound in your head. That's a very early lesson to learn if you're going to start recording yourself, is that you have to accept limitations, you have to accept deficiencies, and you have to be able to look beyond those things and see the beauty in what you're doing regardless.
I have been learning that, especially starting, on the acoustic guitar. You write a song, you have an idea in your head, then you create a demo, and it's a little bit different from the initial idea. Then you show it to the guys and you play with them, and it's totally different, but it's always evolving. But you're right, the idea you start with is always, in my head, always like bigger and better than the final product. So you're saying, but you have 2 albums in the chamber.
Yeah. So the other side of that equation for me is that to just release it on a platform like Spotify is not fair. It's not fair to the music. It's not fair to myself as an artist, and it's not fair to the people that I want to consume my work, because well, we don't have to go into the economics of it, but I think you guys understand that Spotify's not paying anybody except for themselves. And I got into records because of a love for the experience of learning a record. And the way that you learned a record when I was growing up is that you took your allowance money that you waited so long and so patiently to get. You went and bought it. You had only heard 1 or 2 songs on it because that's what was on the radio. And you sat there and you listened to it. And maybe you didn't like it the first, second, or third time. Maybe you never ended up liking it. Maybe it grew on you. I think that a lot of music doesn't have the opportunity to even grow on people in it's 2023 right now. But it just say in the last 10 years, because there's so much of it, and it's being pushed to you by so many different people, platforms, and algorithms, that you kind of just like take what your first impression is, and then you've got a new tidal wave. It's
sort of daunting. I mean, even bangers that are released, I mean, like #1 songs, 2-3 months down the road, you completely forget about it.
Yeah, I feel that way completely. I mean, there's records that, over the course of the pandemic, there's records from 2021, 2022 that I'm just finding out about this week because of exactly what you're talking about. It's like every week, the New Music Friday system keeps you looking for the next thing. And I think that like that third or fourth take you're talking about with the listen, that's when you fall in love with something. Man.
It's crucial to have multiple listens to something to decide whether or not you really like it or not. Yeah. But the short answer to your question about releasing music is that for me, the finish line has always been a physical product. And I think of it as an art object. It is mass produced, but when you press a vinyl record, man, you hold it in your hands, you look at it, you smell it, you turn it over. That's the experience that I want people to have with my music. And so I don't like to sit on things once they're finished, but I will sit on them if I feel like it's ultimately going to serve the release because it's going to find the home that it needs to find, or I need another 6 months to save up money to press it myself, or whatever the end may be. That's always the finish line for me. So all Guma releases that you can find online also have physical media counterparts that you can pick up and support artists.
Check it out.
While you're doing that.
Check it out. When I've thought about, or I've played with the idea in my head to do vinyls, how does that process work? Do you have to get like a minimum amount?
Yeah, there are a couple different ways you can approach it, but usually it's not cost efficient until you're looking at 500 copies.
Gotcha.
And who do you, for your physical media, do you use like an independent vinyl presser? I know of at least one here in Austin.
Yeah, we have Gold Rush in town.
Exactly.
And I use them for the last couple of records. I've used other plants. They're based in different regions of the United States, so you're looking at things like shipping costs when you're trying to ship 500 vinyl records. I've done it with a number of different companies, and there's different results every time. And you kind of go, well, I like how they did that, but I really prefer the way that they did that over there with this company. But they're out there and they do a good job.
Yeah,
nice, man. Well, before we end it, I want to kind of bring it back to your songwriting style.
Sure.
I know it's probably changed a whole bunch over the years, but currently, what is your process? Are you writing constantly, or does it just come to you every now and then?
I'm never writing constantly.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is maybe something that's not talked about enough. I think people who want to write songs or want to make art in general, we can expand that to any medium, feel pressured to always be creating. And it's true that you have to be habitually creating in order to get something out of it. In other words, when I think it's time to write a record, I need to be in the habit of writing songs, and I probably need to write, 5 or 6 lousy ones before I can get to any good ones worth considering for the project. But my greater point is that I don't pressure myself to write when I don't feel like writing. Art is an expression of your feelings and your ideas and your opinions and your experience as a human. It has all of those things and more. Your relationships with other people has all of those things and more. Art is our channel for communicating those experiences to other people. And if you don't give yourself the time to have those experiences and process those experiences, you're definitely not going to be able to communicate them very well to another person, much less to yourself in the form of writing or sculpting or painting or whatever it is that you do to express yourself. And so I think songwriting is a really lonely thing to do. I actually kind of hate it because it takes so long to accumulate enough material to where I feel like booking a session or hiring musicians or getting to the point where I want to share it with anyone. It's very lonely for me up until that point at which it becomes very fun and rewarding. But it's not a particularly great place for me to inhabit. And so I don't stress when I'm not writing. And when I am writing, great. I'm happy about that.
Well said, man.
beautiful. Yeah,
You guys heard it here. Go out there, live your life, and then get lonely for a few months. Come out with some bangers and show it to the guys. That was great. We were super impressed, man. Everybody in your band was incredible. Why don't you give them a quick shout out?
I do. Thank you. I would love to shout out this band because I've been working with them for a couple years now. We cut one record that is the one that I hope to have out later this year. It's called Working Man's Guma. It's my kind of songwriting with a little more of a Austin country western twist. And a couple of the tunes we played tonight are going to be on that record. There are tunes on that record that are more like straight up country twang that I hope to really surprise and delight people with. But I couldn't have done it without all of those folks. And they are Gary Calhoun James on the bass, Sweet Gary Newcomb on the pedal steel guitar, James Gwynn on the drums, Sam P. Reeves on the piano, and Justin Williams on the saxophone. Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. It is such a pleasure and an honor to play with you.
Well, let's hear some more songs. You guys heard it here. TJ Masters, check out Guma and go get some of those albums, records, shirts. Get it all. See y'all later.
It is good for the ground to be ground. Same goes for you. the hard work, keeping up with the yard work. Try to spend time with a pen. The church, the farm, the city, that was one of my favorite rides. A lifetime isn't enough time to describe it. I receive my new sight, proof of my paid attention. On bookshelves, in dreams, attended things return to me. Marcel said it's a pity, that was one of his favorite lines. Like a gold rushing Buddha, he arrived. That's when the bugs come back, no choice but to rebuild, and we let out the cat. Provided it comes back, less one choice, more one will. That's when the dirt comes back, with no choice but to be tilled, and I'm let out the back, sulking like a cat. One more paycheck, one less bill. from the top of the thing, fountain to the spring. Each time I check, it is still